One by one, the ships of the fleet tore through the void, arriving in the Helios system with a ripple of spacetime. Before the last vessel even materialized, the piercing shriek of klaxons echoed through every deck. "All hands, battle stations." The admiral's voice was steel, cutting through the tension. Our science vessels immediately cast their sensor nets wide, sweeping the system for any sign of the enemy. But they found nothing. A void, an empty, silent system. "Set course for the adjacent solar system," the admiral commanded, his voice tight. Full sensor sweeps on approach. We acknowledged, a collective grim determination settling over the crews as our engines flared to life. After witnessing the senseless destruction of our last task force, we were all spoiling for a fight. There was a score to settle. As we secured the new system, the admiral, pacing the bridge like a caged predator, ordered the science ships forward. "I want detailed scans of everything," he growled. "Find me a trace of the Ramarsy." Anything. You could feel his impatience radiating across the bridge, a burning need for answers. Or revenge. Hours of tense silence finally broke. The science vessels confirmed our worst fears. The system was dead. The Ramarsy had been here, and like ghosts, they were gone. The admiral slammed his fist on the bridge railing, the metal groaning under the impact. His voice, a low growl, echoed through the bridge. "Order all captains to my ship for an immediate briefing." The message shot out through starcoms, a ripple of urgency spreading across the fleet. My captain turned to him, a question in his eyes. "A briefing now, sir?" The admiral's gaze was like ice. "Yes. I want every single one of us on the same page. When we meet these freaks, I want to be absolutely sure we send them straight back to whatever hell they climbed out of." A smirk touched the captain's lips. "Yes, sir," he said, his voice brimming with newfound confidence. As the admiral strode towards the conference room, the other captains began to arrive, their faces grim. We knew this was the calm before the storm. "All right, captains, listen up. The admiral wants this brief, and so do I. We need you back on your bridges now. What we're about to tell you, it changes everything. The council has been digging into this new threat, the Ramarsy." As the admiral laid out the intel, you could see the shock spread across the room, even on the faces of seasoned veterans. This wasn't some pirate fleet we were dealing with. Then, the lead scientist took the floor. He started explaining their biology, their technology, the grim details of what makes their ships so devastatingly effective. It was a lot to take in. Suddenly, a captain shouted, "Doc, cut the lecture. Just tell us where they are and how to kill them." The room erupted in cheers. The scientist just lowered his head, defeated. It took the admiral's authority to bring order back to the chaos. What they were facing was far more complex than just pointing and shooting. Just as the tension in the room reached its peak, one captain let out a nervous chuckle and said, "Well, thank God we're the Second Fleet, one of the oldest in the Caelum Guard." A few scattered laughs broke the silence, but the admiral quickly brought the room back to order. He stood up, his gaze sweeping across every captain present. "Yes," he began, his voice resonating with authority. "We are the smallest fleet, and yes, we are one of the oldest. But what does that truly mean? It means we are agile. We are lethal. We carry weapons the rest of the fleet can only dream of." He paused, letting his words sink in. "When we make contact with the Ramarsy, our science vessels must record and scan everything. That data goes directly to the Council. If our railguns prove effective, the entire Caelum Guard will need to be retrofitted, and that takes time. I need every one of you focused, because right now, besides the Third Fleet, we are on our own." A heavy silence fell over the briefing room. The captains, moments ago a murmur of voices, now stood straight, their expressions grim. An uneasy calm settled, thick and palpable. The admiral surveyed the faces before him, his gaze sharp, missing nothing. "This," he said, his voice a low rumble that commanded attention. "This is what I need. Level heads." A chorus of determined nods answered him. "We need to be sharp. We need to be ready." He let the words hang in the air for a moment. Dismissed. One by one, they filed out, leaving only the Admiral and his lead scientist. The scientist hesitated, his eyes finding the Admiral's. "Sir ... do you think we'll win?" The Admiral turned to the vast viewport, staring out at a dead silent solar system. He paused, the weight of a galaxy on his shoulders. "We have to," he replied, his voice barely a whisper. "If we don't, what will become of all this?" As the scientist turned to leave, the Admiral stopped him. "Doctor, we need you at your best. Without your information, we can't find them. And if we can't find them ... we can't stop them." The room emptied, leaving the Admiral alone, silhouetted against the viewport. He stared into the void, a dead system offering no answers. Turning with grim resolve, he strode to the bridge. "Make way for the next system," his voice cut through the quiet hum. The fleet, a lumbering behemoth, crawled through the cosmos, its search feeling endless. "This will take forever," a crewman muttered, echoing the thoughts of many. But the Admiral's gaze never wavered from the main screen. Suddenly, he shouted, "There! A glint!" The scanners were blind, save for a curious neutrino trail. "Alter course," the captain commanded, relaying the order. The entire fleet shifted, moving like a predator closing in on its prey. As the flagship crept forward, the Admiral ordered a halt. "Battle stations," the captain's voice boomed. Klaxons blared, and the controlled chaos of combat readiness filled the ship once more. The klaxons blared, and chaos erupted once more. Everyone scrambled to their stations. As a super soldier, my squad and I raced to the armory to suit up in our power armor, ready for the dropships. But as our vessel neared the target location, everything changed. Two massive Ramarsy ships materialized from nothing. "Open fire!" The captain roared. The prow cannons unleashed a salvo of 14 shots, and 12 found their mark. Then it was their turn. A blinding energy blast struck us head-on. Relays surged and exploded across the ship. The scanner officer yelled, "Sir, they're using some kind of energy weapon." The XO quickly gave a situation report. Life support was down on deck 22, and hundreds of non-critical relays were fried. But the hull was intact, no injuries, and our weapons were still hot. The Admiral's voice cut through the noise, ordering the captain to bring us broadside. We needed every cannon we had. The captain hesitated for a split second, then gave the order that would decide our fate. The ship began to turn. Just then, the Ramarsy fired again. Another direct hit. The XO yelled out, "No significant damage." "Minor hull charring, sir." The captain didn't hesitate. All 50 broadside cannons. Open fire. Every single rail shot slammed into the Ramarsy vessels. The scanner technician shouted, "Sir, we damaged them. They're leaking some kind of plasma." The Admiral's voice cut through the tension. "Fire our plasma-based weapons." A stunned silence fell over the bridge. Plasma weapons? We hadn't used those in years. Seeing our hesitation, the captain roared, "Your Admiral gave an order. Fire." The massive plasma cannons whirred to life, a low hum vibrating through the entire ship as they charged. Then they unleashed their fury. A bolt of pure energy tore through space, hitting one of the Ramarsy vessels. It simply vanished in a blinding flash. A cheer erupted, but the captain quickly got us back on task. "Move closer to the other vessel." Suddenly, the scanner yelled, "Sir, they're turning away." The Admiral's command was immediate. "Give pursuit." The ship surged forward. The captain roared, "Fire the rail guns." The prow cannons erupted once more, but out of 14 shots, only 2 found their mark on the enemy vessel. A direct hit. Those 2 shots slammed into the Ramarsy ship's engines, causing them to flicker and misfire erratically. Suddenly, the scanner operator shouted, "Sir, they're caught in the planet's gravitational pull. They're going down." The admiral, calm amidst the chaos, ordered the fleet to establish orbit and prepare the ground troops. A silence fell over the bridge before the captain questioned, "Sir, if we're landing troops, why not just bombard the crash site from orbit?" The admiral turned, his eyes like steel. "Because, Captain," he said with grim determination, "we need prisoners. We need information. We need to get inside that ship. We need to get inside their computers, find out everything we can. If we can download their entire system, we'll know them inside and out." The captain paused, letting the weight of his words settle before giving the order. "Get the ground troops to their dropships. Scramble the alert squadrons and get Alert 5 on standby." The bridge erupted in a flurry of activity as we, the ground troops, geared up. This was it my first time heading into battle. Butterflies swarmed in my stomach as the suit formed around me. Helmet on. As we marched down the corridor, the crew stopped, their eyes filled with reverence, with respect. Some cheered, "Go get him." That small boost of courage helped. Inside the dropship, mechanical arms clamped down, securing us for the drop. That's when it hit me. This was real. The doors were about to open on my first war. My heart started pounding in my chest, and I could feel my breath catching in my throat. The ship lurched as it broke free, and for a terrifying split second, we were just falling. Then the engines roared to life, a deafening sound that vibrated through my very bones, propelling us toward the planet's surface. As we screamed through the atmosphere, fire licked at the viewport. A blazing inferno caused by our steep, rapid descent. Suddenly, chaos erupted. The crashed enemy ship wasn't dead after all. Green energy bolts tore through the sky, and I watched in horror as 2 of our dropships exploded, entire squads gone in a flash. Our fighters dove in, silencing the enemy guns before strafing the ground, clearing a path for us. A voice crackled over the comms. 30 seconds to ground. I took a shaky breath, then another. The ship slammed onto the surface. The ramp dropped, and the hellish landscape was revealed. We hit the ground running, scrambling for cover. A few of us caught some enemy fire, but their numbers were thin. We pinpointed their positions and neutralized them fast. We were the first wave, 200 squads strong, with just 20 minutes to secure the perimeter before the next wave touched down. Our mission: make this landing zone safe. We pushed forward, weaving through the alien vegetation. We were on the lookout for the Ramarsy, indigenous creatures, anything that moved. As we circled the crashed ship, a few squads engaged the Ramarsy. The skirmishes were brief. They were quickly overwhelmed. But the planet had other surprises. Some of our guys ran into what looked like giant Venus flytraps. These things were man-sized and vicious. Luckily, they didn't seem to like the taste of our armor, and our soldiers managed to fight their way out. What a welcome to a new world. Just as we got into position, securing the Ramarsy ship, we heard them sonic booms tearing through the sky. A second wave was coming in hot. We looked up and saw hundreds of flaming streaks, like a meteor shower, punching through the atmosphere. They were drop ships, moving like bullets. Within seconds, they landed, and hundreds more soldiers poured out, reinforcing our lines or finding new cover. The major's voice crackled over the comms, ordering my wave to advance. The second wave would take our place, securing the perimeter. A nervous calm settled over us as we moved forward. Our destination, a broken derelict ship, crashed on the planet's surface. Cautiously, we found an opening and slipped inside, weapons ready. Our immediate goal to secure the deck and figure out what we had just walked into. We pushed forward without meeting a single soul. Did we get 'em all? One of the troopers whispered. The major shot him a look. Quiet down and stay sharp. he commanded, his voice a low growl. We all tensed, listening. That's when we heard it, the thunderous roar of more dropships tearing through the atmosphere. The third wave. A wave of relief washed over me. The second wave would be right behind us soon, providing backup. The Major laid it out. Once the third wave touches down, the second wave moves in. Then the fourth and final wave will land. Thousands of ground troops would lock this place down. Now, move out. Secure this ship, find any prisoners, and download everything from their systems. I want data on their power sources, their weapons, everything. Let the lab coats figure out how to track them down so we can finish this for good. A grim smile touched my lips. Today was a good day to send these monsters packing permanently. As we rounded the corner, a cry of contact ripped through the air. The Ramarsy had us pinned, barricaded in a corridor and laying down heavy fire. It was chaos. I saw a couple of my squad mates go down, and for a second I just froze. The shock was paralyzing. Then my squad leader's voice cut through the noise, screaming at me to keep firing. That snapped me back. My focus shifted, and all I could think about was taking down the enemy. Just then, the Major pushed forward to assess the situation. He relayed his findings to the Admiral, who theorized the Ramarsy were trying to wipe their computers. Get through that blockade, the Admiral ordered. The Major nodded, signaled a squad number, and a grenade was launched. It sailed over the Ramarsy, detonating behind them in a massive blast. The corridor filled with smoke. Push forward. The Major yelled, and we advanced into the haze. As we pushed down the corridor, sporadic firefights erupted. We moved fast, eliminating every threat, clearing the hallways deck by deck. Finally, we found it, the bridge. But this wasn't your typical command center at the front of the ship. No, this one was buried deep inside, a fortress in the heart of the vessel. A strange design, for sure. The Major gave the order, secure the bridge. We advanced cautiously, weapons raised. The place was a grim tableau. Ramarsy bodies were strewn everywhere. As we checked each one, they all appeared lifeless. But what do we really know about their physiology? It's impossible to be certain. The Major, ever confident, strolled around. Clear these bodies, he commanded. One of the troopers asked where to put them. The Major just shrugged, pointing to a corner. Pile 'em up over there. And so, we began the grim task of clearing the bridge. We piled the bodies, a grim task, but necessary. The Major was on the comms, calling in the tech specialists, the eggheads, to crack the alien computers. Our orders were clear. Keep searching, secure the engine room, find their armory. We moved out, our boots echoing in the metallic corridors of the captured ship. That's when we found it a sealed door, reinforced. Cut it down, our squad leader ordered. Plasma cutters flared to life, slicing through the alien alloy. When the door finally fell, there they were, the last of the Ramarsy. They just stood there, watching us surround them. No fight, no resistance. It was over. Major, our squad leader's voice was steady. We have live ones. The silence that followed was heavier than any battle. What happens now? The Major said, Good, secure them. I'll be down. We just stood there, staring at each other, not saying a word. Finally, the Major walked up and pushed his way in. He looked at them and just said, What ugly mothers. A few of us chuckled. Then he restored order. One soldier asked where to cuff them, but the Major didn't have an answer. He called up 2 more squads. Once they arrived, he ordered them to secure the prisoners. Then he looked at my squad and said we had been the spearhead the entire time. He ordered us to the rear for a break. We were happy and excited. This was intense. As we passed each squad on our way out, they showed us respect, because our squad led the first assault against an enemy in centuries, and we came out with minor losses. I finally exited the ship, touched the first boulder I saw, and pushed against it, making sure it wasn't alive. Assured it was just a rock, I leaned against it and finally started to decompress. Just then, I heard more sonic booms crackle overhead. I looked up and saw streaks of fire arcing toward the ground. My squad leader crept up beside me. "More ground pounders," he grumbled. "No," I said. "Those are the lab coats. The ones who are supposed to crack their computers." He nodded, crouching down next to me and nervously fiddling with a rock. We watched as the dropship slammed into the dirt, their ramps hissing open. And then the scientists stumbled out, tripping over their own feet and looking incredibly green from the bumpy ride. One of them staggered over to the major. "Is the ride back up going to be that bad?" he asked, swaying slightly. The major paused, a smirk playing on his lips. "No, Doc," he said. "It's worse." The scientist's eyes widened. "Worse?" the major chuckled. "Oh, yeah. Remember, these are just boxes with rockets strapped to them, and this time they'll be fighting gravity all the way up." The poor guy looked completely bewildered. The major walked off, and I couldn't help but smirk as I overheard their conversation. The scientist just stood there, scratching his head in confusion, before wandering away, completely bewildered. I took a deep breath, letting it all sink in. Looking around, I realized I was the first human from Earth to ever set foot on this alien world. It was an epic, unbelievable feeling. If only my family and friends could know this. Thinking of them brought a wave of sadness. It's been years since I've seen Earth, since I've seen their faces. I wonder how they're doing without me. Just as I was getting lost in my thoughts, the major's voice shattered the silence, snapping me back to reality. He was yelling for my squad and a few others to escort the Ramarsy prisoners up to the flagship. I shook my head clear and walked over to my squad leader, watching as the prisoners were led out, secured in our version of handcuffs and restrictive jackets. Our squad fell in behind the line, heading to the dropship. We helped secure the prisoners, strapped ourselves in, and felt the ramp doors seal shut. As we lifted off, I braced myself for that usual gut-wrenching, bumpy ride back to the main vessel, but it was surprisingly smooth. The expected turbulence never came. Once we reached the ship, there were a few minutes of gentle fluttering, then a sudden, violent jolt as the docking pylon locked us into place. The power cut, the ramp doors hissed open, and we found ourselves surrounded by shipboard security. They escorted the prisoners off to secure holding while we offloaded and headed to the armory. After stowing our gear, the squad leader dismissed us. Just then, the captain's voice came over the ship-wide comms, informing us the fleet would remain in system for a few more hours. Mission complete. After a quick cleanup, I made my way to the mess hall. The food was well. It was mess hall food, but it did the job. With a full stomach, I found myself drawn to one of the large viewing ports. Staring out at the planet below, ringed by our fleet, a strange sense of calm washed over me. I was exhausted, down to the bone, but it was a good kind of tired. A hopeful tired. For the first time, I truly believed we could wound the Ramarsy, that we could actually land a significant blow. We had a real fighting chance to push them back, maybe even wipe them from this corner of the galaxy. But then, the numbers game started playing in my head. 75,000 ships. That's all we had against an entire empire of unknown strength. The doubt crept back in. I decided to head back to my bunk, lie down, and just think. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you're enjoying the story, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next part. See you soon.